Hello. Welcome to the Visio 365 navigation tutorial. This is an extra video provided to clarify and demonstrate an actual activity diagram. I will demonstrate some of the more challenging shapes mentioned in previous videos as well as expounding upon tricky hiccups students run into when creating activity diagrams. This includes verbiage in shapes, hanging arrows, floating shapes, and IS versus human actors. First, notice the Basic Flowchart Shapes window to the left. The Basic Flowchart Shapes tab is the topmost tab in the window. The second tab is the Cross-Functional Flowchart Shapes tab, which can assist with inserting a swim lane. If you wanted to return to the Basic Flowchart Shapes tab, simply click the topmost tab in the window. Next, direct your attention to the example activity diagram in the middle of the canvas. Your completed activity diagrams will follow a similar structure to this. Let's talk about verbiage in shapes, a topic of which many students get wrong. Take, for example, the process step that states, confirms purchase order with customer. Notice how there is only one action verb, the word, confirm, in this process. For process shapes labels, we will only utilize one action verb per label. To demonstrate, an incorrect label would read, confirms and hands order to customer. Note the two verbs, confirms and hands. Multiple verbs would imply multiple processes. If you feel the need to use two action verbs, you could split the process into two different processes. Please keep in mind that the aforementioned is about process steps. For shapes like e-copy or hard copy, there will never be an action verb. Look at the multi-e-copy labeled order information, look at the multi-doc labeled receipts. Neither of these shapes include action verbs. Please ensure that you do not include action verbs in these shapes. Now let's talk about data. Recall that this parallelogram is a data shape. Specifically, it represents the input or output of data. Data will always, I repeat, always be followed by an e-copy or printed as a hard copy. Please ensure that if you utilize a data shape, it is followed with the correct type of data. Speaking of e-copies and hard copies, note the difference between a human actor and an information system or IS actor. In this diagram, the Transaction Processing System, TPS, is an information system actor. IS actors can only store e-copies. Hard copies will not exist in IS swim lanes. Similarly, the service clerk is a human actor. Human actors can only store hard copies. E-copies will not exist in human actor swim lanes. Some students have issues creating the multi-doc and multi-e-copy shapes, so I will demonstrate now. To create a multi-e-copy, first add an external data shape into your diagram. Next, either copy and paste, or drag a second external data shape on top of your previous one. Format their orientation like this. To create a multi-doc, simply search for multi-doc in the Shapes window. Please ensure that you are selecting multi-doc and not multi-proc, these two shapes are easy to mix up. When creating your activity diagram, make sure all shapes are at least connected with one connector. There should never be floating shapes in your diagram like this. Similarly, make sure that all connectors touch two shapes, there should never be the head of an arrow floating like this. Finally, let's briefly talk about saving. Recall that in video 3, we saved our diagram as both a.vsdx and .jpeg file. To confirm that you have saved your files correctly, open File Explorer. Here, we can see that our image file is in JPEG format. Similarly, if we inspect the properties of our Visio diagram, we can see the .vsdx file extension, confirming that we saved our two files correctly. This is the end of the extra video in the Visio 365 navigation tutorial. Best of luck!